everyone, welcome back. As you can see, I have moved. It's so exciting. Man, it has been a long weekend, but we are here and we have unpacked, and more importantly, we have unpacked the books. So despite the craziness that has been going on this month, I still have managed to read 7 books. Now, one of them was a graphic novel. Most of them were on the shorter side. But you know what? I'm excited about it because there was a lot going on this month, and 7 is pretty high for me. So we're counting it as a victory. So the first book I read this month is We Were Liars by Lockhart. Can you see that? Wow, it's really shiny. I read this in a day. Oh my gosh, this book wrecked me in a good way. I think I'm still thinking about this book, and I read this, I think, the first week of May. I think it's almost best to go into it blindly. I don't want to give away too much of the plot. The writing was absolutely gorgeous. It was very interesting and kind of peculiar. Most of you who've heard about this book probably know that there is a huge twist at the end. So again, I'm not going to get into the plot because I think it's best to kind of go in blindly. I loved the narration in this book. The main character, Cadence, or Katie, I guess is what they call her. The writing kind of, it makes you sort of feel distanced from the secondary characters in a way. I thought that was really interesting considering the plot. I really liked the language in this book. There were a few phrases that were kind of repeated throughout the story. Just little phrases like, be decisive, no one likes a waffler, and be normal, because you are, because you can be, kind of planted throughout the story by really important people in Katie's life. And those little phrases or mottos or whatever you want to call them say so much more about her parents and her friends and her cousins. The writing just kind of makes you a little bit suspicious. Everything's just sort of slippery, if that makes any sense, like kind of hazy. You're not really sure what's going on. Ariel actually talks about this book and the idea of personifying emotion in one of her videos, so I'll link that down below if you're interested. It is a little spoilery, so I would not recommend watching it unless you've read the book. But yes, I definitely recommend reading this book if you're into YA contemporaries. It's a great summer read, so you should just do it. The next book I read is Half Broke Horses by Jeannette. This is an excellent book. It's a true life novel about Jeannette's grandmother. I probably won't talk too much about this one right now because I want to do an in-depth discussion of this book with The Glass Castle because I think it's super interesting how the characters overlap. But yeah, this story is about Lily Casey Smith and just kind of her experiences going through the Great Depression and all sorts of personal tragedies. And I really think it's incredibly brave and amazing that she wrote this book about her grandmother. Yeah, if you're interested in generational stories about women leading remarkable lives, which, let's be real, who isn't? I definitely recommend The Glass Castle and Half Broke Horses. Very interesting. So yes, pick it up. The next book I read was The Dinner by Herman Koch. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say his name. He's a Dutch author. Wow, this book was chilling. So I picked it up initially because people were saying it is a little bit reminiscent of Gone Girl. And I haven't really made up my mind about that. The format of this book is really interesting. It takes place kind of in one night at this really fancy restaurant with these two couples, these two brothers and their wives. And they're discussing both of their 15-year-old sons who have committed a horrific act. I went into this completely blindly and I loved that. I really think that's the best way to go. But right away in the writing, you can just sense this amazing tension. I mean, the writing is really spectacular. The fact that he's just kind of compressed all of these moments and the way that he uses flashback or backstory, whatever you want to call it, is really well done. I kind of felt like I was a random person spying or eavesdropping on like a group of people at a restaurant who are clearly having a fight, and you just like really want to lean in and hear more about what they're talking about, you know what I'm saying? One of the reasons why this book is just so captivating but also so unnerving and creepy is that he really brings out this creepy, violent, repulsive side of these characters. The interior monologue in this book is scary good. Like, I mean, and I really think that's what makes this book so chilling, is the main character, you really get to see who he is in a dark sense. I would say this is a psychological thriller, and I guess that's kind of why it's compared to Gone Girl. I didn't think it was as fast-paced as Gone Girl, probably because it takes place in one night at a restaurant, but I did think the imagery and the language was similar in that it was very disturbing. Kind of just makes your skin crawl. Like, the characters aren't likable, yet you want to keep reading, and I guess that's a sign of a good story. Yeah, I would recommend this if you're into psychological thrillers. The next book I read was a graphic novel called Nimona. Guys, I did it. I read a graphic novel, and I'm so proud of myself. This was the perfect one to start with, I am convinced. It was just so darn cute, and not to mention the author and artist is Noelle Stevenson, who is the same person who did the artwork for Fangirl, which is one of my favorite books. So that was really fun. I loved the art, I loved the story. It was just a really fun read. So it's about this villain named Lord Blackheart who meets this spunky girl named Nimona who kind of attaches herself to him as a sidekick, and she is a shapeshifter of sorts. So the idea behind this, I think, is to just kind of flip villains and superheroes upside down. But yeah, I loved this book. I thought it was touching, cute. I thought the dialogue was witty. And yeah, totally recommend it, especially if you've never really entered the world of graphic novels. Guys, I finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I loved it, obviously. Obviously, I loved it. It might be my favorite one yet. I just felt like it was very fast paced. I loved the Triwizarding tournament. I was pretty shocked by how intense some of the scenes were, particularly at the end. I really fall hard into this world. I mean, I guess that's what everyone says, and I guess that's why everyone and their mom has read Harry Potter, but it's just so fun, and I really enjoyed getting to know the characters. I really want to listen to the audiobooks because I've heard they're amazing. I'm probably gonna finish reading through the series and then maybe start again with the audiobooks because I love it so much. But yeah, there's really not much else to say other than I devoured this book. I love it. I can't wait to read the next one. And I'm just eagerly awaiting my letter to Hogwarts. Like, it is kind of hurting me a little bit. So, great. So the next book I read on my Kindle, and it was called The Spectacular Now by Tim Tharp. And I picked up this book because I heard that it was similar to Perks of Being a Wallflower. So this was a really interesting reading experience for me because I actually watched the movie before I read the book. And so I kind of found Sutter in the movie to be kind of a jerk. Like, I thought he was just very annoying. Sutter was much more likable in the book and endearing. He's kind of this life of the party. He has a big heart, has all of these philosophies about life, about how we should all just embrace the weird and the spectacular, and we should just live in the moment. And he kind of has this fun-loving, approachable vibe. But really, deep down, he has a very blunt and sad, kind of misguided worldview. The story kind of kicks off when he wakes up on the front lawn of this girl's house named Amy. And Amy is a little bit quirky, a little geeky. She kind of lets people walk all over her, and he decides that he's going to make her his project and kind of help her live in the moment. It's not really your classic she's all that like makeover story. The ending was like a little bit too realistic for me. It was hard it was hard to swallow. And so he has a bit of a drinking problem, he's got family issues going on, and just kind of all this stuff below the surface. I don't know. I didn't really get the growth that I was hoping for in this book as far as character development goes. But in my opinion, Amy in the movie was much more likable. I didn't really feel like we got to know Amy all that well in the book. She kind of fell flat to me. And I don't know if that was supposed to be on purpose. But yeah, I did feel like it was really well written. I felt like Sutter's thoughts and his actions felt true to who he was. I enjoyed this book. I mean, it definitely wasn't on the level of Perks of Being a Wallflower, but it was a quick, fun read. The ending kind of crushed me a little bit, but I think that's why people liked it. So the other book that I read in May was called 1,000 Pieces of You by Claudia Gray. This book is about a girl named Marguerite whose parents are scientists, and they invent this little device called the Firebird, which allows a person to travel to another dimension and kind of embody their other dimension self. And the story kind of kicks off when she learns that her father has been murdered. I enjoyed this book. I thought that the premise was really, really cool. I love time travel books. I thought a lot of it was well done. My favorite part about the book was probably how the author merged kind of the sci-fi, historical fiction, and contemporary elements. I think the downside to this book was that I was sort of expecting it to be a little bit more action-packed. I just was kind of turned off by the fact that as she's jumping from dimension to dimension, she kind of seems more interested in figuring out if she loves this guy or if she can trust this guy, and not super 100% focused on her mission to finding out who killed her dad. And I don't know, maybe you disagree. If you do, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I just wanted a little bit more from her. I just wanted her to be this like go-getter girl who saves the day. But it's definitely more of a romance. But overall, I really was impressed with the plot. So yeah, that's it. I'd love to know what you read in May, what you're looking forward to in June. I cannot believe it's almost June. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful reading month. And yeah, I'm just excited about June because June is summer reading. I've got some good books planned. More to come on that. But anyway, thanks for sticking around, and let's be friends. I don't know. Okay, bye.